"Sir, you're under citizen's arrest for daring to breathe in this pristine neighborhood without my permission." That's the screech that shattered my quiet morning coffee ritual, delivered by none other than Gloria Watkins, the self-appointed HOA empress, her smartphone thrust forward like a weapon, live-streaming my crimes to her army of suburban busybodies. There she stood on my front lawn, in her starched blouse and sensible pumps sinking into the dew-soaked grass, flanked by two reluctant cops who looked like they'd rather be busting actual criminals than babysitting this farce. I blinked at her through the steam rising from my mug, the aroma of fresh ground beans clashing with her overpowering floral perfume that screamed upper-middle-class entitlement. It was barely 7:30 a.m. In Willow Ridge Estates, a cookie-cutter suburb on the outskirts of Denver, where manicured lawns and identical beige houses hid a pressure cooker of petty rules and simmering resentments. I'd moved here 2 years ago after losing my wife, Emily, to a brutal fight with leukemia, seeking solace in a place that promised community harmony. But what I got was Gloria, the HOA president who treated the neighborhood covenants like holy scripture, enforcing them with the zeal of a cult leader afraid of losing her flock. My name's Alex Thompson, 55, a former software engineer who'd traded Silicon Valley chaos for what I thought would be peaceful retirement. I'd built a life-fixing code that kept big companies humming, but nothing prepared me for debugging the human error that was Gloria. Back when Emily was still with me, we dreamed of a backyard workshop, a simple shed where I could tinker with gadgets, maybe teach local kids about electronics on weekends. A place to create, not just consume, she'd say, her eyes lighting up despite the chemo fatigue. After she passed, that shed became my lifeline, erected on a sliver of land I'd confirmed was outside HOA bounds, backed by a county easement permit that cost me less than a fancy dinner. Every screw, every panel was inspected and approved, a testament to my meticulous nature. But Gloria, she saw it as a personal affront to her vision of uniform perfection. The trouble started innocently enough, or so it seemed. One crisp autumn afternoon, as leaves crunched underfoot, Gloria marched up my driveway, clipboard clutched like a shield, her lips pursed in that signature mix of faux concern and barely veiled disdain. "Mr. Thompson," she cooed, her voice dripping with saccharine politeness, "I've received reports that your structure violates our aesthetic guidelines. The color scheme is, shall we say, unharmonious with the community's palate." I offered her a seat on the porch swing Emily had loved, poured her some iced tea, and calmly explained, "Gloria, this shed's on easement land, county jurisdiction, not HOA. I've got the permits right here." I slid the documents across the table, but she waved them away like they were yesterday's newspaper. Permits are one thing, but community standards are eternal. We can't have eyesores dragging down property values. Think of the children. She left with a tight smile, but I knew it wasn't over. The next day, a violation notice appeared in my mailbox. $75 daily fine for unauthorized construction. On my pension, that was half my grocery budget. Whispers started circulating, neighbors I'd barely met shooting me sideways glances at the mailbox cluster. "Heard he's turning that shed into some weird lab," one murmured. "Probably brewing meth or something." Lies, of course. But Gloria was a master at seeding rumors, her Facebook group a breeding ground for anonymous gripes. I stayed quiet, documenting everything in a notebook, watching as her facade of upholding order cracked just a hair with each overreach. Weeks turned into a slow burn of harassment. Gloria escalated like a bad algorithm spiraling out of control. First, she petitioned the county for a reinspection, claiming my shed posed a safety hazard. The inspector, a grizzled vet named Hank, showed up with a toolkit and a sigh. He poked around, measured setbacks, even complimented the wiring I'd done myself. "Solid work, Alex." Whoever complained must have flunked shop class. As he left, he whispered, "Watch your back. These HOA types don't like being told no." Sure enough, that night, I found my garden hose slashed, water pooling like a petty revenge plot. Coincidence? Hardly. My neighbor, Rita, a no-nonsense retired nurse, caught a glimpse of Gloria's red SUV idling nearby earlier. "She's losing it," Rita chuckled over fence-line coffee. "Thinks she's the queen bee, but bees sting back." I installed discreet security cams, the kind that blend into birdhouses, nothing flashy, just enough to capture the absurdity. And oh, did it deliver? 2 nights later, footage showed Gloria sneaking through my backyard at midnight, armed with a can of neon pink spray paint, scrawling "Violator" across the shed door. She tripped on a root, landing face-first in mud, her pearls scattering like defeated soldiers. I watched the replay over breakfast, a dark chuckle escaping despite the rage. Here was the pillar of community morality, reduced to a bumbling vandal, her for the greater good mask slipping into the dirt. But Gloria wasn't done. She called an emergency HOA meeting at the community center, a bland room smelling of stale donuts and desperation. Folding chairs squeaked as residents filed in, some curious, others dragged by her emails promising urgent threats to our way of life. Gloria stood at the podium, projector humming, her PowerPoint a masterpiece of manipulation. Slide 1, Defending Willow Ridge, a battle against anarchy. Photos of my shed, angled to look like a ramshackle eyesore, flashed up. "This illegal edifice," she intoned, voice quivering with manufactured outrage, "undermines everything we've built. Property values could plummet 15%. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. From the back, my ally Tom, a burly ex-cop who'd helped me frame the shed, piped up, "Gloria, Alex's place is cleaner than my garage." "What's the real beef?" She smoothed her blouse. "Anonymous concerns about noise and unsavory activities. We must protect our families." Tom snorted. "Anonymous like your spray paint job last night?" The room gasped, but she recovered with a pious sniff. "Slander. This meeting is about fines, $200 a day now. Or demolition." I rose then, heart steady from years of boardroom battles. "Folks, let's cut the drama. My shed's on county land. Federal easement trumps HOA nonsense. Supremacy Clause, Article 6. And funny thing, Gloria, your own gazebo in the common area is 3 feet over the setback line. Built last year, right after you pushed that rule through." Her face bloomed red, like a tomato under pressure. "That's different. Board discretion." She banged the gavel, ending the meeting amid whispers. But the seed was planted, doubt in her ironclad rule. The retaliation came swift and ridiculous. A week later, I woke to find my power meter tampered with, wires snipped clean. No storm, no accident, just deliberate sabotage. Deputy Lopez arrived, notepad in hand, eyeing the cut with professional suspicion. "This screams insider knowledge. Any enemies?" I showed him the cam footage of Gloria's midnight artistry. He whistled low. "Ma'am's got some explaining to do." That afternoon, Rita swung by with pie and gossip. Saw her hubby, Councilman Watkins, in his fancy BMW circling your block. Power couple. My ass. More like power trip. I didn't confront yet. Instead, I dug deeper, visiting the county records office. The clerk, an elderly woman named Mabel, pulled dusty files with a wink. Watkins family? Oh, honey, that's a saga. Hours later, buried in yellowed deeds, I uncovered the ghost-haunting Gloria, her grandparents' 500-acre ranch, seized in the 70s for a dam project that fizzled due to environmental backlash. The feds promised fair pay but shortchanged them, leading to a lawsuit that bankrupted her grandpa. He died bitter, passing the grudge to Gloria like a toxic heirloom. Suddenly, her obsession clicked. Not just control, but a warped vendetta against government intruders, like my permitted shed. It was almost pitiable, if not for the havoc she wreaked. I sat in my darkened living room that night, Emily's photo on the mantel, realizing brute force wouldn't win. Time for strategy. I assembled a quiet team. Lena Chun, a sharp land use attorney from my old firm, Forest Ranger Elias, who'd stamped my easement, and Marcus Reed, a journalist who'd chronicled the Watkins seizure decades ago. Lena pored over docs. You've got supremacy on lock, Alex. But this, it's a shot at writing history. Elias unearthed old memos showing the seizure was rushed. Corrupt officials pocketing kickbacks. Marcus dusted off notes. I can spin this into a feature. Forgotten land grabs haunt suburbia. We plotted not destruction, but redemption for her family, ironically through me. Gloria, oblivious, amped up the idiocy. She hired a sleazy PI posing as a utility surveyor, who snooped my windows until Tom scared him off with a flashlight and a growl. Then her husband leaned on Hank's boss, accusing favoritism. Hank taped the call. Tell that inspector to revoke or face review. Ethics complaint filed. But the low blow? Deputies at my door one evening. Welfare check, sir. Report of instability post-loss. Possible threat. Gloria had weaponized my grief, claiming I was unhinged, hoarding gadgets like a mad inventor. I brewed them coffee, shared Emily's story, showed support letters from neighbors. Lopez muttered, false reports a misdemeanor. Press charges. Soon, I said. Patience. Days later, another HOA circus, Gloria proposing a $3,000 per house levy for legal defense against threats. But rumors of her antics had spread. Vandalism clips accidentally leaked to the group chat. As she droned on about safeguarding equity, Hank's wife, Carla, accountant, stood with ledgers. Gloria, explain $52,000 in consulting to your brother's firm? No bids. No receipts. Gloria stammered. Essential services. Carla. For what? Phantom projects? The only build here's Alex's. And you're bleeding us dry to harass him. The crowd shifted. Then Watkins himself rose, sweating. I misused office resources. Investigations pending. This stops now. Gloria's composure shattered. She fled, heels clicking like a retreating army. But she rallied for one last stand. A public town hall. Media invited, billing it as exposing bureaucratic tyranny. The auditorium buzzed, cameras rolling. Gloria took the mic, voice cracking with emotion. Her family's loss, the stolen land, decades of pain. For a moment, I saw the wounded girl beneath the tyrant. Then she pivoted. And now this man mocks it all, squatting on protected ground with his permit, exploiting tragedy for personal gain. Silence hung heavy. I stood, folder thick as a brick. Gloria, your grandpa was robbed, not by the system, but crooks within it. Elias, the ranger detailed the corrupt push, failed dam, buried truths. The audience erupted. Mayor Jenkins pledged, "We'll petition D.C. for review." I handed Gloria the dossier. "Finish his fight. Not with me as enemy." She crumpled, tears streaking her flawless foundation. Months later, Congress probed, awarding the Watkins kin restitution and passing the Watkins Legacy Act for land review. Gloria stepped down, reformed the HOA into something humane, funds for community gardens, not lawsuits. We met over tea on my porch. She stirred sugar endlessly. "Grandpa would have hated my pettiness," she admitted. "He fought for justice, not control." I nodded. "And now you've got both." Willow Ridge bloomed. My shed became a makerspace, classes buzzing with kids. Property values skyrocketed. Folks crave neighborhoods that heal, not harass. Now, as fog lifts over these lawns, coffee warm in my grip, I spot Gloria's new garden shed, modest, rule-compliant. She waves sometimes. I return it. Ghosts fade when faced. But tell me, was Gloria the true villain, or just a product of unchecked pain? True or false? Sometimes the bully needs saving more than the bullied? Drop your take below. Share your HOA horror. And let's debate. Who really lowers property values, the rule breaker or the rule enforcer gone rogue?